Sir, we will start, sir. Okay, good morning, all of you. Welcome to this behavior-based safety webinar by Mr. Ramesh Grover. I'm Srikantan from CCC. I welcome all of you. Hope you remember last week there was a technical issue and we could not complete this. Luckily, Mr. Grover was available today, so we have roped him in. So Ramesh is from Quality Growth Services from Delhi. Sir, over to you, sir. Ramesh, sir, please take over.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good morning, friends. My name is Ramesh Grover. I am basically a chemical engineer from IIT Delhi and representing Quality Growth Services Private Limited. Today, I'll give a brief overview on behavior-based safety. The learning objective will be to understand what is behavior-based safety and how it will help us in ensuring that the workplace is safe. When we talk of behavior-based safety, basically in the behavior-based safety, it is a identification of the safe and at-risk behaviors of the people through observation and then giving feedback to the people. So we'll be discussing about that, how the observation is done and how feedback is given to the persons who are working safely and who are working at risk. Since we are talking of behavior-based safety, let's first understand the behavior part. Behavior is something which is observable. You can observe somebody doing the way he's doing it. You can measure the behavior and then you can manage and correct it as well. So, but depends on the environment as well. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So it also depends on the availability of the resources. Like when we say behavior, it can be enabled behavior, which means that there is a total control over the environment, and difficult behavior where limited control is there, and non-enabled behavior where there is no control. So I'll show you some slides to. The stairs are there. Nijara.
The voice is sometimes missing.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. No, it's okay. Ramesh, are you there? Ramesh?
They lost voice over there. I think now it has come, there's a lost light over there. So I think it has been reinstalled.
Hello?
Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, sir.
There was some electricity problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Just 1 minute. Give me one minute. Okay. Now here you will notice in the enabled behavior, you will notice
So make
that is up to him.
there is an echo in your voice.
1 minute, just give me 1 minute. Okay. So now it is up to him whether he uses the stairs or he doesn't use the stairs. He's using he's not using the stairs. So it is a safe behavior or an unsafe behavior. That is the choice of the worker. So this is the enabled behavior. But when we talk of the next one, the difficult behavior, that means they have a limited control. Just to give you an example, the stairs are not here, but stairs are available somewhere else. So he has to bring the stairs from there and then use it here. So that means limited control is there. Then it is possible to use it to do the safe behavior, but it is little difficult because he has to work hard for that. Whereas when we talk of the enabled behavior, you will see here that there is no stairs are there. Poor fellow has to do the unsafe behavior or at-risk behavior only. So sometimes the behavior of the people depend on the availability of the resources as well. This is what I wanted to show here. Now, the safety at workplace, that means it depends on three things: the person, the environment, as well as the behavior. So let us see how these three help the worker or the organization in ensuring safety at the workplace. When we talk of the person, it's a component which consists of physical capabilities of the person, his training, his qualifications, his experience, which can be controlled by the management because when they are selecting the employee, they can take care of all this. The other thing could be the environment itself. Again, management has the control over this because they have to provide some engineering controls, they have to provide equipments which can be worked safely, or maybe the job task given to the people so that they are able to work in a safe manner. But the behavior part, the third component which is there, that is generally overlooked. This is something which the person does on the job. Okay, so this is something which is controlled by the worker or his supervisor, because supervisor is watching him how he's doing the work. So we will be now talking about this one, the third one, the behavior component of the behavior, and that is called behavior-based safety. The workplace is never unsafe. It is the injuries happen, the accidents happen because of the behavior of the people. In fact, 95% of the accidents occur because of the unsafe acts by the people. When I say unsafe acts, sometimes see, somebody's drinking coffee and it falls on the ground. He doesn't clean it. So it was an unsafe condition. By not cleaning it, that was an unsafe act by the person, and that may lead to an accident. So we have to think it like this also. The unsafe conditions, we have to make sure that some action is immediately taken on the unsafe condition. If we don't do that, that becomes the unsafe act. Now, how do we shape the behavior to make a safe workplace? So for that, let us understand the behavior-based safety concept. So behavior-based safety, as I told you in the beginning when I told you about the objectives, is a process of observing the workers and giving them the feedback for their safe work as well as at risk. That means we have to focus the attention of the worker and tell him if there is a safe work, tell him about that so that he gets motivated. And if it is at-risk behavior, then also we have to give some feedback to him, how the behavior observation has to be done and how the feedback has to be given. That I'll be telling you in the next slides. The BBS approach, one thing we must understand, that it is not a substitute for the traditional safety concepts. Some people may be thinking that when BBS was not there, still companies were working. Yes, they were working, but then accidents were happening. So it is a supplementary tool which will enhance the effect that we are getting from the existing practices which are there, the traditional safe concepts which are there. So the aim is to understand the cause of the incident and the near misses that are happening and find out through the behavior of the people how it can be corrected. So the most important thing that happens is through the BBS, we are able to bring
a safety culture in the organization. On this safety culture, I would like to give you a very small example. The Delhi Metro, DMRC, they started their first phase sometime in 2002 or so. And the main contractors were the MNCs. And the contract and the which was 5 times bigger than phase 1. And the MNCs were not there. Those who were the subcontractors in phase 1, our Indian contractors, they became the contractors for phase 2. And that was the time in 2005 when we started giving training on BBS. I would have given more than 100 training programs to various contractors. And that, even though they did not really implement in that sense BBS, but the safety culture changed. And with the result of that was that though it was 5 times bigger project, there were only 37 fatalities in second phase compared to 61 in the first phase, which was 5 times less than that. So safety culture, when we are talking about, means we have to hold safety as a value, not just a priority. Every company, every organization gives priority to safety. There's no doubt about it, because nobody wants accidents happening in their company, but we are not able to give that value. So what is therefore required is that every worker must give himself the responsibility of safety, and so that he takes care of himself as well as his co-workers at the workplace. So now if I ask you a question, what should be the safety philosophy of your company? So if I ask you this question, what will be the answer? Okay, let me give you the answer also right now, because I cannot get the answer from you. Strong commitment to safety will give safety a value equal to productivity and quality. See, we give value to quality and productivity because it has direct connection with the customer. Okay, but then safety, sometimes what happens is there is a lot of pressure, a lot of issues are there. The customer wants the product immediately, and so we are really concerned about the productivity and quality. And that time we tell the workers, oh, it's okay, nothing will happen, come on, you do it. So that way, once we tell them, that becomes the behavior of the people. So this is where we have to make sure that our policy should be that it should be considered as a value, not as a priority. One thing is very, very important. All of you please must understand this, that if you see a worker doing an unsafe act or an at-risk act, if you find somebody doing that and you just walk by and do not show your concern to him, then what will happen? He will get the feeling that it is an acceptable behavior, because nobody has stopped him. Why you have not stopped him? Because you feel that he's reporting to somebody else. Why should you unnecessarily get into that? But it is important, because if you do not stop him, that will become his behavior. He will continue to do that always. And once it gets into his attitude, that cannot be changed, because going to the attitude means it has gone to his mind. Then it cannot be changed. So you have to make sure that the behavior of the person has to be changed. So that time, if you find somebody doing an unsafe act, please stop him and talk to him about his unsafe behavior. Let's just see a picture here. The person is doing an unsafe job. Everybody can see he's doing an unsafe job. And the supervisor is also standing here. Here the supervisor is also standing. Other workers are also standing. But nobody has stopped him. What will happen now? That will become his behavior. So next time you will see him jumping like this, because that has become his behavior. Nobody has stopped him doing an unsafe job. This is where you have to stop the work. This is where the involvement of the supervisors, managers is required. Anybody, even the co-workers, and not only the supervisors and managers, if the co-workers also, his peers also, if they see him doing an unsafe act, they should stop him there itself. Otherwise, it will become his behavior. Now, what is the role of the management in this? They must get involved. They must also learn what is this behavior-based safety. They must ensure that whatever support they give to the behavior-based safety, that is visible. People understand that there is commitment from the top management and they really mean it. And therefore, the management must provide the necessary resources and the environment. That is very, very, very important. And they must support the program. If they don't support the program, it will not work. And whatever measures are to be taken So they must ensure that effective measures are taken for that. And the management also should attend the training programs which are given to the workers on the behavior-based safety. Another important thing is Gemba safety visits. The managers, the supervisors, they should also conduct the Gemba safety visits so that the workers, they should find out what is happening there, and they should also talk to the workers. That really gives a very good picture there, and that good impression to the workers that there is a commitment from the management as well. Okay, so periodic follow-up should be there, then only the system will work. Okay, now the behavior-based safety, that means it emphasizes that the workers, they must take their own ownership for their safe as well as unsafe behavior. So they should know it, that if they behave unsafe, it will affect the other co-workers as well. But as far as the supervisor is concerned, as far as the managers are concerned, they must make sure that those who are doing the unsafe work, they should be told repeatedly to correct, and when they behave safely, they should be encouraged. This is very important. Encouraging somebody, because that will motivate them. Encouraging somebody to do the safe work when they are doing the safe work, and repeatedly telling those who are doing unsafe work or the at-risk behavior is there, they should be repeatedly told about this. This is something with time. It is BBS is not something that today you start and tomorrow you will find the result. No, it may, that culture, you have to bring that culture, and it takes maybe 6 months to 1 year for that culture to be developed in the organization. But you have to, but perseverance is required. You have to continue to do that. Now, if we have to change the behavior of the people, let us first of all see why they behave in the unsafe manner. What is the reason? We must try to understand that. The at-risk behaviors are often more comfortable. You enjoy that. People are wearing helmet, and those who are not wearing helmet, they feel, oh, we are better off. They feel more convenience. Okay, and sometimes it becomes more time efficient to go to do the at-risk behavior than the safe behavior. Now let's understand how it happens. But actually before that, let's understand that at-risk behaviors, they rarely result in an injury. Accidents don't happen every day. I always take the example of Bhopal tragedy. Bhopal tragedy doesn't happen every day. But when the day it happened, it was a disaster. So we must think about that. But right now, because they are enjoying the risk, because at-risk behavior rarely results in an injury, they are not able to know immediately. And that rarely results in the disciplinary action, because if somebody sees you doing an at-risk behavior, then only there will be an action. So it doesn't happen every day. Now let's do a small exercise on this. We must understand this ABC model. The behavior of the person is based on the activators. So there are some activators which direct the behavior, and then that the behavior will depend on the consequences. What that motivates the behavior, the consequences. What are the consequences of that? And once we are talking of that, let us understand the consequences can be positive as well as negative. What is this positive and what is this negative? Let us understand. The consequences can be certain, can be soon, can be significant. When we say certain, there is a high probability that you will receive the consequence, that it will happen. Or soon, that means it will happen immediately or it will take time. Or significant, whether the effect of that will be significant or not. Let's do a small exercise of that on the at-risk behavior. A person is driving at 120 kilometers per hour over the speed limit of 80 kilometers per hour on an open highway. You know, mostly on the highway, the speed limit is 80 kilometers per hour, but you find a person driving at 120. What are the activators? Why is driving at 120 kilometers per hour? Activators could be, there is one could be that he's driving fast, the other is no, he's not driving fast. There can be two things. Why he's driving fast? Because he's getting late. So he's driving fast so that he can reach early. Or maybe there's an emergency, he has to go to the hospital. Or maybe it's an open road and others are also speeding, so he also starts speeding. Or the other thing could be, which is very common, which is happening, many accidents are happening because of that, is that there is a hot car. The person is driving a hot car, BMW, Audi is driving, so he likes to drive very fast only. Okay, but what are the other activators? That could be there is a speed limit sign. People watch at that. Oh, the speed limit sign is there, so we must reduce the speed. Or other could be there is a police car going just in front of you, so naturally you have to drive slow. Other could be the driver is properly educated. He has taken the safe driving training and all that. He takes care of that. But more than that could be that there is a child in the car, so you're careful about it. That could be another thing. But now, let us understand the consequence part also. When we say consequences, they could be positive consequences, or they could be negative consequences. When we say positive, what is the positive consequences? You said you will save time, or there will be fun. You are enjoying that. Whereas the negative consequences could be that you may receive a ticket. If you are caught by the police, you may receive a ticket. Or maybe if there is an accident, your car will be, it will be wrecked. And then other could be the wear and tear of the car will take place. Now, let us see the rating of this. For the save time, yes, certainly you will save time. Immediately you will know that you are saving time. Soon, immediately you will come to know about it. And then it is significant because it is required. You have to save time. You have to reach somewhere early. And fun, yes, certainly. You will immediately enjoy it. And soon, of course, immediately you will enjoy that. And the enjoyment will be good, particularly for the young boys. And it will be significant. Whereas, if we look at the negative consequences, will you receive ticket immediately? No, it is not certain. If you are caught, then only you will receive a ticket. Or soon, maybe not. But yes, it will be significant. You have to pay some money. Talking of the wreck, yes, certainly. It will be, but then immediately it is not happening. Accident doesn't happen every day. And it will not be soon. But yes, it will be significant, no doubt about that. It will be a big loss. Talking of the wear and tear, yes, certainly it will be there. You know it will be there, but not soon. It will not happen immediately. And it will not be significant. Now, if we compare the positive consequences and negative consequences, we will find the positive these comfort consequences are more heavier than the other ones, right? Now we have understood why people are doing an unsafe job. Then on this basis, we have to decide how we have to motivate the people. Okay. Now, when we talk of motivation, it could be a negative reinforcement or a positive reinforcement. There are two ways of doing it. What is negative reinforcement? When a person feels he is wearing a PPE, why is he wearing a PPE? Because he knows that if he doesn't wear, there will be a problem. So that means he is doing it because he has to wear it. He is doing it because he has to do it. Whereas positive reinforcement is where he wants to do it. It is not that he is not worried that I'll be caught or something. We are so used to now sitting in the moment we sit in the car in the driver's seat, the first thing that we do is immediately we put the belt on. It's not that we are worried about the ticket, that will be caught by the police, but it has become our habit. That was a positive reinforcement in our mind that has come into our mind that yes, I must do it because if there is an accident, there will be a problem. So this is the type of motivation which we have to give to the workers when we are talking to them, when we are giving them the feedback, so that they will want to do it that way, not that they have to do it that way. They should not be looking at the supervisor. Oh, the supervisor is coming, and that, let me tell you, creates the biggest problem. See what happens when that is called evaporative action. So what is happening is he is doing a job. He is not having the belt he has got in his hand, but he has not anchored it. And the moment he finds that the supervisor is coming, immediately he tries to put the anchor on. But then at that time, because he's doing it so fast, he's not able to do it properly and he falls down. So therefore, evaporative action, we must make sure that we should avoid that. How we can avoid that? When we give the reinforcement, we give the feedback to the person that he starts feeling that he wants to do it that way rather than he has to do it that way. That's very important. Now, how this type of feedback can be given? This person at the top, he's giving a positive feedback. He says, good, safety suggestion dear, keep bringing them up. So he is very happy now. The boy is very happy that boss has told him like this. Whereas the another boss says, one more report like this, and you are out of it. So that's the negative reinforcement. So many times when I was doing the metro audits, the safety fellows should also be, they are there with me most of the time. And what they would do, if they see somebody doing a wrong at-risk job, they will like shout at him, "What are you doing like this? Are you a fool?" I tell them, no, don't do that way. Give a positive motivation. Let them feel that you are really concerned. Rather than saying, what are you doing? You will fall down. This will happen. That will happen. Rather than that, talk it in a positive manner so that they get motivated. Rather than, otherwise what will happen is every time they will look at you whether you are coming or not. So that means they are not doing it that they want to do it. Okay.
चाय वाय बनाई थी आधी कप थी लेकिन वो खराब हो गई देखो
Any issues? Mr. Srikanth?
No, sir, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I told you that BBS is a observation and feedback process. So how we do that? We give training to the workers on how to observe. Okay. Let us say there are 8 people or 10 workers working together. We give training to them how to observe. And then we select one worker and ask him to observe the other workers. Okay, so they observe their co-workers. We give them the checklist, a proper checklist. I'll show you the checklist just now. We give them the checklist, but we tell them very clearly, please do not write the names of the people. No names, no blames. That should be very clear. Okay, and then we also explain to workers how they will be giving the feedback for the safe as well as for the at-risk behaviors. So positive reinforcement of the safe behavior is very, very important. And then whatever data they collect, whatever data they are collecting, and please keep one thing in mind, they are giving the feedback at that time itself. But they are collecting that data and giving it to the management. Then the management analyzes that data and then plans what is to be done for ensuring that to bring that culture, safety culture in the organization, what further actions are to be taken. Okay. Now, under the observation, behavior categories that the worker has to observe are the body mechanism, including the postures and the reactions of the people, whether they are wearing their PPs or not. One is they are wearing, and properly wearing is another important thing. Okay. Then the tools and equipment that they are using, are they using it properly? Are they right? Are they adequate? Are the right equipments? Are the right tools for them to use? And another very, very important thing is housekeeping, because many accidents happen if the housekeeping is bad. And then we also see whether they are following their procedures and practices or not. Whatever their procedures have been given to them, they are following those or not. So keeping all this in mind, we have prepared a checklist. This is called observation checklist, where we have the reactions of the people. Some samples, what they have to check is written there. PPs, about the head, eyes, ears, what they have to, again, depending on the issues there, the positions of the people, and tools and equipments, procedures and orderliness. In the observation report, for the safe act, they are writing here. For the unsafe act, they are writing here. So let us say there are 10 people, 4 are doing like this, 4 are doing like this, 6 are doing like this, like that they write it. No names. I'm again repeating, they have to write the name. Okay. Then when we observe people working, we should ask ourselves. This we explain to the worker who is observing. Is the person too close to the risk? He has to ask himself this question. And safety, much of safety is based on the common sense. So he has to think himself, is the person too close to a risk? Is the worker exposed to any electrical hazard? Which hazards exist due to material handling if he is doing? If there are any hazards, he has to look for that. And is the worker exposed to any dust, fumes, radiation, heat or gas? Are work surfaces safe for the job that he is doing? Can the worker be struck by something where he is working? And can the worker be caught in or caught on or between the objects. So like this, when you're looking at something, somebody doing the job, ask yourself these questions: can there be a problem or not? Okay. And then think again, think yourself, what if, hypothetical questions, what if this happens? Because under normal conditions, everyday worker comes and does the work, but you have to think about the possible potential abnormal conditions which can lead to an accident. So ask those hypothetical questions to yourself: what if this happens? Now, see here, I am showing you here, asking a person to identify the risk behavior, at-risk behavior, and also same thing, I am asking the person to identify the safe behavior. Okay, so he has to identify both at-risk behavior and safe behavior from the same activities being carried out. What are the good behaviors? What are the bad behaviors? And on that basis, he will plan to give the feedback to the person based on the observations that he has made. Okay. Now, when you have done the observation, don't you think it is important that you should talk to him? Because immediate corrective action has to be taken. Otherwise, it may lead to an accident. So if you find somebody doing an unsafe act, immediately you should give some feedback to the person. Okay? But when you are giving the feedback, there are a few things very important. Ego of the person, everybody has an ego. So give it one-on-one. Don't talk to anybody like this, or this is bad, that is bad, in front of others. So give it one-on-one. Give it as soon as possible. Don't wait for the accident to happen. If you have seen an unsafe act, please tell him as soon as possible. Specify the safe behavior you are rewarding. If you are telling about something safe behavior, talk about that, and then give the feedback and motivate the person. Give sincere and personal praise for the safe work, and give the receiver a chance to respond. Because if he's doing the safe work, we should ask him what has motivated him to do that safe work. We should try to find out that also. Because same thing we have to do for the others also. We have to give this feedback to the management also, because after analysis of that feedback, they have to see what is to be done further to make sure that everywhere in the organization that culture is developed. Don't criticize, ask for potential solution, and focus on setting examples for others. When you are observing others, if you are yourself not following those actions and safe behaviors, how can you watch others? So make sure that you also set an example when you are observing others, and request commitment for behavior change when you are giving the feedback to the person. Talk to them and keep on talking till he finally says, yes, I fully agree. It was an unsafe act done by me. I should not do it in future. Okay. Use safe and at-risk words instead of right and wrong. Like saying you are using that tool wrong. No, don't talk like this. Rather than that, a best way to talk is, I thought you could have been at risk for an injury when you use that tool. So use the words at risk and safe rather than right and wrong. Use the word at risk instead of unsafe. Like, I believe you were operating that grinder unsafely. He may not like it. Rather than that, if you say, I believe you may be may have been at risk when operating that grinder. So if you talk that way, it gives a different feeling to the person who is listening to you. Okay. When you are talking with people who are working safely, you have to talk to them also. Okay. Praise their behavior. Whatever they are doing, praise that. Okay. Encourage continued safe work practices to them. Okay. Try to understand their safe motivation, because on that basis, you have to give feedback to the others also who are doing unsafe behavior. And assess how clearly they understand their roles and responsibilities. Try to find out whether they have clearly understood their roles and responsibilities or not. And when you are talking to those people who are working unsafely, please stop what you're doing. Because if you find that it could lead to an accident, please stop them there itself. Okay. And then you should show your concern. Tell them that I'm really concerned about you. Okay. Then ask him about his job, what he's doing. Asking those questions, what could, about the abnormal conditions, what could happen if this happens or that happens. You ask him about that. And then ask him if he's having any problems, not being able to do it safely. Why he's doing that unsafe way or at-risk way. Ask him the reason for that. Okay. And then You tell him that if this happened, you could be injured. Then you tell him about this. And uh, also ask him if he follows those rules, if he makes sure that the system and safe work practices are followed, and does he understand then what is the importance of that, how it will help him. Try to ask him that also. Okay. And so what you will experience by implementing BBS, one is that injuries and accidents will further reduce. They are already, because some systems are there, they will be further reduced by 50 to 60%. The workers' compensation costs will be lowered by following this BBS. Safety awareness will be increased among all the workers, because the workers are themselves doing this work of observation and feedback. Okay, and their communication skills will improve because they are talking to each other. And similarly, the supervisors and management skills will also improve through this. Okay. Yes, friends. Any questions?
Those who want to ask questions, you can ask, type in the chat box, or you can unmute and speak.